Hello, everybody. Good morning and happy Thursday. I am doing a double live. I've never done this before, to be quite honest, but I am on Instagram and Facebook. So wherever you're planning to join from, thank you for joining regardless. You can swap over to check me out anyway. But thank you for coming and joining my live. If you are catching the replay, go ahead and comment #replay in the comments. I would love to see you show up here. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 tips to improve your money mindset, especially if you are an online business owner, entrepreneur, and you're trying to make that money. So let me go ahead and pull up my notes. And I am super excited. We just uploaded the podcast episode for this week, all about managing and making consistent income from your business. So if that's something that you have struggled with, maybe you're past needing to get clients, you're pretty good with clients or with getting sales in the door, but now you're dealing with the ebbs and flows of the money in your business, then I highly recommend listening to this podcast because it's going to talk about more so regulating that flow of money into your personal income, but also for your business expenses. So how do you manage that? We're covering that in this week's podcast. You can go to wanderwealthypodcast.com/podcast/episode 117, or you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all the places you get your podcasts. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the 3 money mindset tips that I have for you so you can improve your money mindset and start making more money. Now, the first tip is to test your money mindset. So understanding where your limits are is really important because then you can start identifying when you start, wanting to put yourself out there and you want to start making more money, where you're going to basically cut yourself off unintentionally. So in order to test your mindset and understand those limits, you need to start setting those goals. And you can do that by, taking out a piece of paper and just writing down your dream income. A lot of us have that. A lot of us have a number in mind. Not a lot of us do the really hard work of really dialing it in and figuring out exactly what that income should be. And I highly recommend, I do this with my clients. We really get super specific, and specificity is super important when it comes to money mindset and trying to rewire essentially your subconscious mind that has a certain identity around how much money you really are, able to make. So get out a piece of paper and start writing down what your ultimate dream income goal is. And once you get that number, if you need to, you can pause this video. If you're not tuning in live, you can always pause this video, or if you want to rewatch it, pause it, sit down, get that number down on paper and figure out what that is on an annual, or if you want to, you can divide it by 12 and do it on a monthly basis. Then what I want you to do is multiply that number by 2 and just sit with that. What do you think? Because this is your dream number, and now you're multiplying it by 2, and now you're probably flooded with all these thoughts and emotions about whether that is possible for you or not. So just sit with that, and next to that, where you wrote all those numbers down, or on a new piece of paper, I want you to go in and write down your thoughts and feelings that come up. This is the testing part of figuring out where your income set points are, where your money mindset and limiting beliefs are around income in your business and in your personal life. We're not going to get too nitty gritty with the differences between the two, but let's just start from a very general aspect and figure out where your limitations are. And that's what the first step is testing out what these limitations are and where they are. The step 2, this isn't really steps, but it kind of is. There's supposed to be 3 tips, but I like to go in step order. So the second thing to do is to challenge your limiting beliefs, your money mindset hiccups, what's showing up for you. And you can do that by taking this number. And one way you can do this is a mix between the test and the challenge, is thinking about this number and thinking about telling your family members or your peers or the community that you grew up in, walking into a room and all of them are there and being like, I want to make $300,000 this year. I'm just pulling a really big number out of my mind that would make me feel uncomfortable and my wealth set points would pop up. Okay. So think of that big number, especially if it's your dream number, your dream income goal multiplied by 2, that probably doesn't feel that great. So I want you to think about going to, an open room full of your family members or the community you grew up in and just being like, this is how much I want to make this year. And then just, again, sitting with that and seeing what feelings and thoughts come up. So this is the test, but then this is halfway between the test and the challenge part, because then I want you to get into the challenge, and I'm not going to make you walk into a room full of people that you know and tell them how much money you want to make this year. But what I am going to do is have you jot down that number, and you can do this in multiple different ways. You can first do it on an annual basis. You can do on another piece of paper how much it would be. Maybe that's a revenue number for your business, and then you want to also do a monthly number, or an annual number in terms of a salary for yourself. And then you can split it into monthly numbers. So you could do a monthly revenue number as well as a monthly salary number, and get as many kind of different forms of these numbers, but numbers you can tie yourself to and that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, that brought up all those thoughts from the test part. And now I want you to have those written down, and then I want you to tape them up or Post-it note, sticky note them up on your walls, on your refrigerator, on your bathroom mirror. Put them all over so they are front and center, and just essentially challenging you to start thinking about that number. Now, as I said in the beginning of this live, which for some of you joining late, you might want to go back and watch the beginning. I said that you want to get really specific around these numbers, and that's because your subconscious mind loves specificity. It loves very detailed things. And I'm going to talk about this probably later this month about why and give you some examples. But your subconscious mind loves specific numbers. If you are going out to, oh, you love this idea. Thank you. If you are going out to start achieving or making progress towards your goals, your subconscious mind wants to know exactly what it needs to be looking for. And so with these Post-its that are going to be up around you, I want you to get really specific about what those numbers look like and have them up around you. And therefore, again, you're challenging your conscious mind that is probably looking, I have one over here. So it's probably looking at that and going, no way in hell is that going to happen. This probably might feel a little weird, because you'll look at it and you'll think your conscious mind is going to be like, no way. But your subconscious mind is saying, okay, that's something I can get used to. That's something that I can see. That's something that I can keep in the back of my mind. And as opportunities present themselves, subconsciously, you're more inclined to say yes to them. You're more inclined to see that they're opportunities and go after them. And that's the power of your subconscious mind. And that's the power of challenging your limiting beliefs and the hurdles that pop up from your money stories and your money mindset to overcome that and be able to go out and know that, okay, this number is actually doable. I can see it happening. I can see myself accumulating that sort of wealth on an annual basis. And now I am finding myself saying yes to more and more of these opportunities in order to make this actually happen. So the third tip, and it's also a step if you're doing this in sequential order, the third one is to align your identity with the identity of someone who actually goes out and makes this money. Okay, so you're going to sit down, and this is kind of like a little journaling exercise. You're doing a little bit of, thought work and really diving in to those thoughts and feelings around when you did the test and then when you moved into the challenge. And now you're going to sit down and you're going to journal out the identity that the person has who makes this amount of money, is able to spend their money on the things that you've dreamed about spending on. Because remember, during the test phase, you set your dream income goals, and that was probably based on things that you would like to acquire and accumulate in your life. So you set those goals for yourself. So now imagining that person who technically is future you actually being able to spend that money, actually being able to go out and make that sort of money, actually being able to go out and save the amount of money that you want to save or invest what you want to invest, and actually being able to do that. So put yourself into that person. And if you have to disassociate from yourself, you can do that, but put yourself into that person's identity. And then I want you to journal out that person's characteristic traits, their personality traits. How do they act? How do they feel? How do they think about their situation? And I just want you to start getting that down on paper so you can understand the identity that person holds. And then this is kind of like step number 4, but I kept it wrapped into 3, is I want you to day by day review that. If you need to add to it as you go too, you can do that. But day by day, take one sliver of the identity that that person has and implement it into your life. So maybe it's, let me think of an example, something that would totally maybe ruin your day or really mess up your day today, something that would happen for you that just like throws you out of whack, makes you really unproductive, makes you want to just like go in your bed and sleep for the rest of the day or take a long nap, or, you know, maybe it gets you really frustrated. And when you think about like, you know, we always do those tricks of like 5 years from now, is this really going to matter? Probably not. So don't spend more than 5 minutes on it. It's kind of that same thing, but you're thinking about your future self, the person that holds the new identity of the type of person who makes this amount of money, is able to spend it, is able to save it, is able to invest it. And you're basically taking on a certain personality trait or how they approach situations, how they act around things, how they think about things, and you're going to take on their identity in that situation. And this is obviously easier said than done. It is a practice. You need to get used to doing it. But when, you know, that, let me think of an example that happened to me recently. Someone isn't, maybe, okay, your website just like goes out of whack and you're letting it ruin your day, and you're spending hours just like thinking about it, ruminating about it, dealing with people about it. And yes, there are situations where you have to get the stuff done, but what would someone with the identity of being able to make double the dream salary that you want to make, or double the dream revenue you want your business to make, and be able to spend on, you know, that thing, be able to retire their partner, be able to buy that new dream house, whatever it is that that person is able to do, and getting into the way they think, how do they think about this situation? How do they act when these types of situations come up? And the more you can act out of the identity of who you want to be, the quicker you're going to get there. And there's this concept called be, do, have, where if we can be the person we want to be, then we'll be able to do the things those people do, and then ultimately we'll get to have what they have. Whereas a lot of us operate from have and then do and then be. We think we need to have the knowledge or have the expertise or have the experience or have the money before we can do the things that people like those, you know, whatever you're striving for, people, before we can do the things they do, before we can be those types of people. And in fact, it works much faster and usually much more effective if you can reverse it. So in this case, we're going to align our identities with the identities of the people that, the person that we ultimately want to be. And usually it's just our future self living in that, you know, place. And so if you can take one thing that you journaled about, one thing each day, and start practicing it, or maybe it's one thing each week, because again, easier said than done, these things take practice. One thing each week that you can just start implementing into your daily life and start, you know, refocusing and essentially realigning who you are, how you act, and how you feel about certain things that come up where you would have acted way differently, you know, just yesterday, but now you're saying, I'm going to start being this person I want to be so I can ultimately have, so I can ultimately do and then have what they have. That's where we got to start thinking. So one thing per day or one thing per week, and just start building on that until ultimately you've taken and you've fully aligned with that identity. So those are my money mindset tips for today. More like a money mindset process. I kind of, breezed through them, but I would love to know what you guys think. Again, if you're catching the replay, #replay, leave me your, comments, your oh my gosh moments. Let me know what you thought and what you want to hear more of in regards to money mindset, in regards to business and money, in regards to your personal life and money. I would love to know. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you all maybe tomorrow. And until then, I hope you wander wealthy. Bye.